Yeah, Andrew, welcome. Nice to meet you.
Hey Ryan, thanks for having me.
No dramas. Look, if you just give us a bit of a obviously introduction into who you are and obviously your background in the crypto industry.
Yeah, all right. Well, my name is Andrew. I'm from Sydney, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of CryptoSpend.
Perfect. CryptoSpend, talk to me a little bit about that. So, how did that sort of begin, and how long have you sort of been running it?
Yeah, well, CryptoSpend started back in late 2018, and how it actually started was it was me getting into the crypto space back in 2017, and it sort of occurred to me that cryptos weren't exactly spendable, basically. So a lot of people didn't really understand. It was sort of at the enthusiast stage and didn't really make it to the mass market yet. So most people were, pretty confused about how to use crypto. So basically, I thought to set out and make something that was just much easier to use and also be able to spend it. So this is basically a global currency that most people aren't using as global currencies. And we've set out and we've made an app that allows you to do that.
Yeah, awesome. So the app basically, from what I can gather, it's a wallet, but you also have a like a Visa debit card sort of thing that you can also use to purchase stuff at like shops and stuff like that. Is that correct?
Yeah, so that's actually not out yet. It'll be out in a couple of months. But currently what the app does is it basically connects it to the Aussie banking system. So currently within CryptoSpend, you can pay out to BSB and account number, you can pay to Pay ID, and you can pay your bills as well through it. So it just basically acts as a bridge between crypto and the Aussie banking system. So you can jump onto the app and you can deposit Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Ripple, and Bitcoin Cash, and you can send it out instantly. So you can pay your mates, you can pay your landlord, you can pay anyone with it. So you don't just have to pay yourself with it. So say, for example, we went out somewhere for dinner, I owed you $100. I could just jump on my CryptoSpend app, send it to your Pay ID, and you'll get it straight away.
Wow, that's fantastic. I could
Yeah.
imagine trying to integrate that sort of technology with the Aussie banking system would have been a bit of a headache.
Yes. So especially when it comes to the regulatory and compliance, that was a big headache, especially being able to enable our instant liquidation technology to be able to send money straight away and also be compliant with AUSTRAC and ASIC regulation. That was really a big challenge for us, but we've gotten over that, so that's good.
Yeah, you've obviously launched a relatively successful product, so you must obviously be quite happy. Apart from the
Yeah.
regulatory issues that you've just mentioned, were there any other sort of major hurdles, I guess, that you could talk us through that you had to obviously overcome?
Well, there was a little bit of a technological hurdle, like to be able to get good liquidity with Aussie dollar. So most people, with the big cryptos, they trade mainly with USD. And to us, it was either an option whether to go from, say, Bitcoin, for example, from Bitcoin to USD to AUD, or partner with exchanges that have BTC to AUD pairs. And we've done the latter for now, but then once our volumes start to pick up, then we'll probably have to go from Bitcoin to USD to AUD, because there's so much more volume there. Because with AUD, there's a lot of slippage when we tend to do big orders, because the volume in Australia is not that big, mainly because people are using USD pairs. But that's something that we'll overcome relatively easily once our volumes start picking up, because we've got a good plan for that. And in terms of everything else, hurdle-wise, I think capital raising was a decent hurdle, as it is for any startup. But yeah, we've gotten to where we want to be in terms of capital raising. So we've had a few investors come on board with reputable backgrounds that have helped us launch this product.
Yeah, awesome. I saw a few different articles about the product itself. I think it was FinTech Australia launched an article back early 2018. And
Yep.
you obviously did quite well out of that. I think, was it Andrew Porter that jumped on board to be a business partner and obviously help
Yeah. Yeah. So
stuff there?
yeah. So he's one of our seed. He was one of our pre-seed round investors, and he's on it as an advisor as well. So what he's got a good background in payments and foreign exchange. So that's really helped us in regards to strategy, regulatory, because he's got 20 plus years international experience in this field, in payments and foreign exchange. So yeah, that's really helped us.
Yeah, awesome. You
Yeah.
mentioned, so the Visa card, it's not quite out yet. That's obviously coming in a couple of months. What else have you guys got sort of in store for CryptoSpend?
Yeah, well, once we've launched that here and we've built it up to a relatively successful level, we want to take it overseas. So Australia, while it has a decent crypto market, the overseas market is much more lucrative. There's many more people in Europe, in the US, and the rest of Asia Pacific, that we would be able to acquire a lot more users, a lot more volume. So for us, it's bringing this product to Asia Pacific, most likely first, and then America or Europe or both.
Yeah, wow. I can imagine, so obviously overcoming the legal hurdles in Australia in regards to banking and finance, you're going to obviously encounter some
Do
more.
it for every other country, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's going to be a bit of a hurdle, but we'll get there.
And how big's your team? How many guys have you got on board, obviously working with you?
Yeah, so our team is 4. We've got myself and Richard. Richard is my co-founder. So basically how it splits is I'm sort of the CEO, CTO, CFO, and Richard's like the COO, CMO. So he handles a lot of the strategy, operations, marketing, and I'm more of the tech finance person because I have a background in tech and finance. So I went to UTS. I got a double degree in finance and IT. So that's helped me out with having the sort of basis for what we've done. And then we have Kevin, who's our head of marketing. And then we have a developer. His name is Sabi. And he's a full stack developer, and we've worked together to bring out this app. So we're only at a seed stage right now, so the team's quite small. But once we head into the Series A, then that's when we'll bring on a much bigger team.
Yeah, awesome. How many sort of clients have you guys roughly got on board that are sort of using the app?
Yeah, we've got about 400 at the moment that are using it. And the reason why that's not bigger is because we haven't really been smashing marketing too hard. We really want to save up money and have a big marketing push once we come out with the card, because that's where the big value proposition is. Because currently, I think that while it is convenient and it's good, it's not enough incentive for people to sign up just to be able to pay out to their bank account. The card is where the real value is at, and that's where the value that we can give to people lies.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Have you guys got any other cool features that you're obviously bringing out or that are a part of the app at the moment?
Nothing else other than what I've explained to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the whole point of it is to be quite simple. We didn't want to overload it with features. Our whole point from the beginning was that we didn't want to make it just overcomplicated like some other crypto apps that you see out there. And most people would be like, what do I even do with this? Yeah, that's something that we wanted to avoid. We just wanted to make it very simple, easy to use. You can use your crypto with this. use it as everyday money. No one likes a cluttered app. But yeah.
Yeah, I think you've probably obviously hit the nail on the head there. I think the crypto space is relatively, the landscape's quite hard to navigate, to be honest, especially if you're very new. If you're only finding out about crypto now, trying to obviously, navigate a wallet or sign up to an exchange and, learn how to
Yeah.
drive it can just be, a bit of a headache. So simple is
Yeah,
better.
but in terms of wallets, actually, I'm not sure if you guys use it in WA as much, but in New South Wales, QR codes are everywhere. So because of COVID, you have to check in with a QR code. Is it the same in WA?
Yeah, it is. We have to check. We're meant to check in for, main places that we head to, like the shops and stuff like that.
Yeah, but do you use QR codes to check in?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that because of COVID has got people so much more used to using QR codes and wallet addresses, that's all QR codes and stuff. So I think that's helped with people's understanding of how wallet addresses work, especially with QR codes and being able to scan. So yeah, that's really helped.
Yeah, definitely.
The only good thing that's come out of COVID.
Yeah. Yeah, I would totally agree there. Look, you mentioned your background. So you've got a double degree in finance and tech as well. What were you doing
Yeah.
before CryptoSpend professionally?
So I was actually I was doing a lot of web design. I've basically just done web. I finished uni at the end of 2019. So I'm only 23.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. A lot of people think I'm a lot older because of this.
Because of the beard. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I'm only 23. So we're right out of uni and we got into this straight away. And part of the reason for that is I went to uni at UTS, University of Technology, Sydney, and they have a startups incubator that's called UTS Startups. And it's great. We have a collaboration space that we're actually still using, and they connect you with a lot of mentors, a lot of people in industry. So they've really hooked us up with a lot of connections with people in the fintech industry. And yeah, it's really helped us. And not to mention, help us sort of get into the entrepreneurial mindset. Even though I thought that was, it was pre-existing for me. But yeah, it's really helped foster that mindset as well.
So you've always had a bit of a entrepreneurship mindset, I guess you could say?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
And this is your first sort of obviously major project that you're working on?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, first big venture.
Are you and Richard roughly the same age? Did you guys meet through university or something like that?
Yeah, we met at uni. Yeah, we met in an IT class.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so yeah, we're both 23. He's only a month older than me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Very
Yeah, we're quite close. We met at uni, and I had already sort of thought of CryptoSpend in the early stages. I hadn't done too much work on it yet, other than just making some connections with people in industry. But then we met in uni, and we really got along. We had the same mindset, and he decided to come on board with it as well. And here we are today, and we really complement each other really well. I know a lot of founders can sort of fight and clash heads a lot, but it's good with us because we'll always come to a good compromise. If we disagree on something, delegate well, work together well. So yeah, that's been really good.
That's awesome. That's obviously quite important, working closely in a small team like that. So
yeah.
What's the crypto space like in New South Wales? Is it relatively broad? Like, is there a lot of people involved, or what's the space sort of like over there?
Yeah, well, I think it's more concentrated than what it is in WA. Most crypto users, from our research and what we've seen in some marketing results, most people are from Sydney or Melbourne, some in Brisbane, but not too many from WA. So I would say if you were talking location, it would be like CBD. That's probably the most concentrated area of people who use crypto.
Yeah, right.
So
Very
yeah.
interesting. So it's actually used quite a bit over there to pay for stuff.
Not exactly. I'm talking about crypto users, like people who actually have crypto or day trade or have some sort of involvement in crypto.
Yeah.
There are a few merchants who actually take crypto in Australia, and they're mostly in Sydney and Melbourne as well.
Yeah.
Some
Okay.
in Brisbane too.
Is that
I'm not too sure about Perth in terms of merchants.
is that a space you're looking to get into as well? Like, helping merchants process payments and stuff like that?
Yeah. So that's another thing that we're. Sorry, I forgot to mention before. That's part of our roadmap. It'll be sort of like a crypto payments for merchants. So what it will just basically be the reverse of our current system, so that they'll be able to process payments, take payments in crypto, and they can get paid out straight away. So they don't have to worry about the volatility. They don't have to worry about setting up wallets. It'll give a unique, say for Bitcoin, for example, it'll give a unique Bitcoin wallet for each transaction that they do, so they can link it to each invoice or to each point of sale payment, and then they'll be able to get paid straight away in Bitcoin. Like, for example, when I'm sending money overseas, a few of our partners are in the US, and we actually just pay them in Bitcoin because it's so much easier than sending money overseas. Like if you're a non-crypto payments company, it's okay, but then banks don't like crypto payments companies. So if you're paying overseas, someone might see it's coming from CryptoSpend Private Limited and knock it back. So we've had a lot of troubles with that. So, our partners overseas, we just pay them in crypto, and, invoice is cleared once we get one confirmation. So it'll be, 5-10 minutes before they've already got the money. So it's much easier for us that way.
Yeah, definitely. I used to work in retail banking, and sending money overseas could, take 72 hours, and it could take 2 weeks. It's a pretty long process. So to be able to, obviously accomplish the payment being processed within 5 or 10 minutes is just, massive. It's a huge gain, obviously, to international trade and stuff like that. What's it been like, obviously, trying to navigate the banking industry in Australia? Have you had problems like you've just sort of mentioned, certain banks and stuff in the US not really liking crypto companies? Have you come across the same sort of thing here in Australia as well?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
We've been debanked multiple times. So NAB closed our bank account pretty much straight away. Who else? Bank West, Suncorp. Yeah, there's a few.
Wow. And what did you do to work around it? Did you just have to go somewhere else, open up a new business bank account and kind of start again?
Yeah, pretty much.
And what have you found
So,
the feedback like from them? Have they just said, look, you deal with cryptocurrency and we don't, deal with clientele that deal in that space? Has that kind of been the main sort of hang up?
yeah, that's what they've said. And actually a lot of users, particularly just in the crypto space, not even companies, have had their bank accounts, locked or blocked whenever they've had deposits from crypto wallets.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, if someone cashes out an exchange, some bank accounts have actually, given them a warning and say, oh, we don't deal with cryptocurrency much. But nowadays, they're getting more and more lenient because it's getting more regulated. And more so, the banks are understanding it more, because most banks are still under the impression that, oh, Bitcoin's anonymous, like completely anonymous. But in reality, it's not that. It's not completely anonymous. It's pseudo-anonymous. But then, there's still, you have that traceability factor, and it's much they're probably coming to the realization now that, sorry. So the big concern is money laundering, basically, right? And terrorism financing. So they don't want to be under trouble with AUSTRAC, who's the money laundering, they're basically the financial watchdog in Australia. And they have quite decent regulation in Australia, but it's not very restrictive. But just banks are just completely scared of it, and don't want to deal with it. But nowadays there are ways around that. So it's much easier to launder money with cash rather than crypto, other than privacy coins like Monero and Zcash. But with Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, a lot of the non-privacy coins, it's harder to launder money through that. So yeah, cash is basically untraceable. So that's the real untraceable thing. But AUSTRAC have actually come down pretty hard on privacy coins. So you won't find any, you probably won't find it anywhere anymore in Australia where you can buy like Monero, for example, directly with AUD. That's just because they've enforced that regulation because of its susceptibility to be used for money laundering.
Yeah.
But yeah, gradually, the banks are just getting better with time, understanding it more, because they know it's coming and it's getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Crypto in general.
I think they're sort of realizing that, gone are the days of them possibly being able to dig their heels in and, stop what was, eventually going to be widely used. So obviously crypto itself being widely used. So like when I was working through a couple of the retail banks, we did the exact same thing you just sort of mentioned. Any sort of customers that were flagged to have been, dealing with crypto or, have something come up on their statements that were, that would say like CoinJar deposit or something like that.
Yeah.
Their accounts would be basically automatically banned, and, the customer would have to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the customer would have to go bank elsewhere. But I think they're starting to get a lot better with stuff like that.
Correct. Yeah.
So, which is good to hear. Obviously, it's obviously a major hurdle. You need some kind of on-ramp with, the current sort of financial system. And if you can't get money into the crypto system, it's, a pretty big deal. So I think they're all sort of, finally kind of turning around and being a bit more receptive to obviously the crypto industry itself, which is good.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of, we've seen recently quite a big, boost in popularity, obviously of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Elon Musk obviously tweeting about Tesla buying, $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. Where have you kind of sort of seen the space heading? Like, where do you kind of think it's obviously going eventually?
Yeah, well, I'm obviously really bullish on crypto in general. But what I'm really excited for and what I really want to see come up soon is ETH 2.0. So I'm sure you're aware of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Currently with DeFi just ruining the ETH network. Oh, ruining is probably a bad word. Overloading the ETH network. Just gas fees have just been crazy. So any sort of, smart contract nowadays, especially with ETH going up so high, we're paying, 120, 150, sometimes even 400 Gwei per transaction. And that's just become unfeasible because the network has just become so clogged. It currently it's just having those scalability issues. So that's what's really stopping people getting into DeFi and just decentralized finance, because it's just too expensive to do transactions. And especially Uniswap, like I went into Uniswap the other day. I just wanted to get some token that had a relatively low market cap. And then when I saw the gas fees, I was like, oh, it was $100 in gas fees just to swap. So that's not feasible unless you're doing, you're buying a few $1,000s worth, or even, maybe a few $100s worth. Or even if you bought $1,000 worth, you're paying 10% in fees. So if you put it down as a percentage, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's huge.
So it's Uniswap nowadays, just the swapping and DeFi exchanges seem to be reserved for people who are just buying a lot, but then it's scaring a lot of newbies away, which is what we don't want.
Definitely.
So hopefully ETH 2.0 will fix all of those issues, because they're drastically going to increase the amount of transactions per second that it can do. So hopefully those gas fees will come down much, much more, because DeFi will be very accessible to the little guy.
Are those the main
just
issues with Ethereum? You know, the gas fees and stuff like that. I did actually see a pretty interesting podcast that Vitalik did with Tim Ferriss the other day, and he was talking about basically scaling Ethereum and a couple of the issues associated with that. So obviously that's the main issue, is obviously the gas fees and the speed at which, you know, you can push something through the network.
Yeah, but yeah, it's because the gas fees work on, basically it's like a bidding system. So everyone's trying to one up each other to get transactions through quicker, especially like big traders where time is necessary, right? They don't care how much they pay for a transaction, because they might be doing a large value, like maybe 6 figures worth, right? So they don't care if it's $100 or $200 in gas fees. They just want to pay higher amounts to be able to get it in as quick as possible. And because everyone's trying to one up each other, the miners are only going to choose the one that are going to pay them the most first. So then logically, well, actually in reality, the gas fees are set artificially too high, because everyone is just trying to get up on top of each other. But yeah, hopefully, yeah, soon it will be, that whole sort of bidding model will end up being fixed.
And what do you see happening, obviously, you know, to the price of ETH and I guess the usability of ETH once that happens? Do you think, obviously, you know, a lot more people are going to jump on board and build more projects on top of Ethereum, or where do you sort of see that sort of taking the space there?
Yeah, well, I see way more projects being built on top of it, because if it's much cheaper to do smart contracts, right, then you can make some sort of decentralized platform that does more transactions or smart contracts, right, and has more functionality rather than just swapping or, you know, simple financial, you know, transactions, or even NFTs. You could be able to do things so much quicker and so much cheaper that you can do so many more operations, and that opens up endless possibilities.
You mentioned NFTs just there. What do you sort of think about that space? Obviously, it's been popping off recently, with, you know, the rise of NBA Top Shot. A couple of artists, digital artists, are obviously getting relatively famous as well. Beeple, I think he's just sold quite a fair few pieces of artwork, you know, for multiple millions of dollars. Where do you see that NFT space going? Is that something you're interested in?
Okay, I'm interested in the tech. I love the tech behind it, but I'm undecided on where I stand with the whole NFT scene. I love the technology behind it. I love that it has, you know, fixed supply, and you can, you know, this is pretty much the first time where you can define a fixed supply of something that's collectible digitally. You haven't been able to do that before, and actually cryptographically verify the owner of that collectible. That is what I think is really cool about NFTs. But on the other side of the coin, I think collectibles are meant to be tangible. So that's just me personally. I know a lot of people don't care about that, but yeah, to me, collectibles should be something that's physical.
Yeah.
So
I've heard a lot of people say the same thing as well, to be honest with you.
yeah. And it looks like a bit of a bubble at the moment to me. Like, it just looks like people are just getting into it for the sake of it, and they're not even interested in collectibles, just hoping to flip it for a higher price. And then when you have too many people doing that, then that's what causes crashes.
Yeah.
So
Becomes a bit of a bubble.
yeah. But if history has told us anything, it's just that people will collect anything, and the NFTs are no different. So I think it'll be here to stay, but I probably won't be getting into it too much myself. Other than just, experimenting with it, but I won't be hardcore collecting different things. Actually, my Richard and Kevin, my other team members, they stayed up late last night because there was an NFT drop happening. I don't know what it was. I think it was some DC character, and they got the. I'm not sure actually. I haven't spoken to them this morning, but I'm pretty sure that they would have got the drop because it was relatively limited quantity, as are all NFTs, and yeah, they were trying to get me onto it as well, but I was like, yeah, nah, leave me out. I wasn't really interested in buying any.
Yeah. You mentioned, so you're mostly interested in the tech behind NFTs. So would you mind just maybe explaining to the viewers how they sort of differ from, say, an Ethereum coin or something like that?
Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. So let me give you an example of something fungible. So say one Ethereum, right? Ethereum is non-distinguishable from another Ethereum, right? Other than, the public and private keys, but we'll leave that out of the question. NFTs are not like that. They can't be split like Ethereum and Bitcoin and most other cryptos can be. They can be split into smaller units, like Waves and Satoshis for Bitcoin. And there is a limited supply of that NFT. So I haven't read too much into the code of it. I just know what it can do. And for collectibles, and the fact that it has a fixed supply is what makes it and gives it value, right? If NFTs can be minted, continuously and not have any sort of rarity, then it wouldn't give any sort of value, right? So yeah, that's just basically my thoughts on NFTs.
Yeah. Are there any other?
What about you? I want to hear your opinion on NFTs.
Yeah.
You got any?
No, I don't actually own any. And to be honest, I'm not really a massive fan of collecting stuff anyway. So I probably personally really jump on, unless someone gave me something rare for free or whatever. I'm kind of a bit like you. I think that the most exciting thing behind it is actually the tech. Obviously being able to trade something that's digitally scarce could open up a whole bunch of, different avenues and stuff like that. I was speaking to a gentleman, Steve Bellotti, my last guest, and we were sort of talking about the tech behind it, being quite valuable in terms of, potentially one day having people, for example, maybe like having someone's title deed or something like that to their property, or, having ownership over their car or something like that, actually digitized rather than, having a physical certificate or something like that to claim ownership over something like property.
That's where I think the real value proposition lies, because then it's not stuck in one, government database, and we all know that they can be compromised because it's centralized. But because this is, decentralized, anyone can see it. It's almost always available, or always available pretty much. And in the event of a catastrophe, it will most likely still be there, right? Because you only need one person to have a copy of a few people to have a copy of the Ethereum network worldwide, the whole blockchain, to actually verify that. So yeah, that's where I really think the value lies. And because it's of the rarity, it can actually emulate physical collectibles, which is pretty cool. But my personal opinion aside,
yeah, definitely. That's where I see the technology, adding value to the space. I think that's going to be quite exciting to see what happens over the next couple of years. Is there anything else within the industry that you see, that you're excited about, or that's going to be up and coming, that you sort of know about, that you think might be game changing?
Nothing really in particular, other than what I was telling you about with F2.0. That's just something that's just really got my attention. I've been keeping a close eye on.
Yeah.
Really waiting for that to come out and steal the show, basically, because
Yep.
you've got all these other coins that are trying to address the gas issues and the scalability issues with Ethereum, but they don't quite have the user base, and there's other problems associated with it as well. But then when S2.0 is released, that will just be a game changer.
Yeah.
Absolute game changer.
Obviously you trade different coins as well, I'm guessing.
Well, not much actually. So I don't have the time to look at charts all day. My time's basically all pent up on my computer running CryptoSpend and basically being a CEO. But I do have some crypto, but I don't necessarily trade it. Sometimes when I've seen an opportunity where I think something's going to dump or pump, I'll do a leverage trade, but that's quite rare. Yeah.
What's your experience been like trading then? I know you just sort of mentioned you don't dabble in it a hell of a lot, but what has been your experience?
What about my experience? Has it been good or bad?
Yeah, has it been good or bad, or have you noticed certain trends while trading or stuff like that?
Yeah, well, nothing really in particular, but my experience in general has been pretty good. Other than the fact that when you're doing especially leverage or futures trading, you have to just be very careful with leverage when it comes to crypto, because you'll get a massive, if you're long and you get a massive just quick red wick, that's it, you're gone like straight away. That's just something you need to be careful if you're trying to get into leverage trading, because as we all know, it's like one of the most volatile asset classes that there is out there currently. And then leveraging that adds even more risk on top of it. So yeah, if anyone's listening that wants to get into leverage trading, or just trading cryptos with futures, be careful.
Yeah, do so at your own risk.
Yeah, do so at your own risk. Do your research, understand how leverage and liquidation and margins work before you get into that, or before you risk any money that you're any significant money to you. You just got to be careful of liquidations and volatility.
Yeah, obviously it's a pretty quick track or surefire way to maybe get wrecked if you really don't know what you're doing. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you'll get wrecked basically.
Yeah. Is there anyone in the crypto space that you guys sort of follow or take advice from, obviously like for CryptoSpend at all?
In the crypto space?
Yeah.
No, not in particular. So the reason why is because we don't do any sort of trading as our business, right? Oh, sorry, we do in terms of running our liquidation software, but we don't do any speculative trading really at all. For us, the trading that we do as a company is just for hedging. Yep. So say, for example, we have, an order that we've already paid out and it's exposed to the market, right? We need to hedge that against losses. So those are the, and that's relatively standard and nothing that we really need to speak to other people about, other than doing our own research and setting it up properly. Yep. But yeah, because we don't deal too much in speculative trading as a company. We don't really speak to anyone in the industry about that.
Does CryptoSpend have any like competitors or anything like that? To be honest, you're the first sort of product I've heard of, at least in Australia anyway, that is aiming to do what you're aiming to do. Are there any other products like CryptoSpend, either, you know, domestic?
Yeah, yeah. There's btc.com.au. I'm not sure if you've heard of them. They have a FPOS card, but it's a swipe only card.
Right.
And you have to load it in AUD as well. So one of the main value propositions as well with the CryptoSpend card is that you don't have to load AUD onto it. So you can have your CryptoSpend app with your crypto already loaded into it, and then you can just spend straight out of it. Right? So you don't have to load up an Aussie dollar account. So you're basically exposed to the market right up until you spend it. Right? So the whole point of it is you want to avoid you taking chunks of like bigger chunks of your crypto. Like say, for example, you're a trader, and you know, you've got a lot of Bitcoin, you've got a lot of Ethereum, and you need some money for the week or for the month, right? You would cash out a big amount, but then, you know, just because you need the money, you still really want to be sort of exposed to the market because we're in a current bull run, right? This is just as an example. But with this, you can just take it out as you need it. So, you know, you're basically hodling right up until you need it. So that's where your value proposition is. And the fact that you can spend online, you can get it in Apple Pay and Google Pay without actually having the card as well. And you can have it use it online as well.
Yep. And so the card obviously comes out in a couple of months, you mentioned. Are you guys obviously hitting the marketing front, you know, pretty hard once that happens?
Yeah, definitely.
And where are people going to see you guys? Are you looking to spend money, you know, through like Facebook advertising or Instagram or stuff like that? Or where are you guys sort of aiming to put your marketing budget?
Yeah, Facebook and Instagram. We're going to try more with Google Ads, but Google Ads are a bit hard on crypto.
Very hard, yeah.
Yeah, we've managed to get some campaigns out before, but it's quite hard. So we're going to see how we can get, or we actually have been seeing how we can get around that to be able to access people that aren't on social media.
Yeah.
Because there's a segment out there of people that are, you know, extremely privacy centric and don't use social media, but are crypto users, right? So we need to find a way to reach those people.
Even Facebook seems to have a pretty, you know, strict policy on anything finance related as well. Are you guys obviously?
Yeah, they do if you're doing some sort of trading. If you're doing binary option, if you're doing any sort of options, straight no. But if you're doing, you know, CFDs, they're a little bit harsh on that too, or any sort of trading product, especially crypto trading. But if you've got all the right regulations, you could possibly get them over the line. But any you know, volatile and risky trading platform, they would most likely reject you. But even now, especially since ASIC has brought down the leverage on what retail clients can do. Have you heard of that?
No, I
So
haven't.
before you could do, you know, 200x, 300x leverage, right, on even just AUD USD pair, right, forex pairs.
Yeah.
Now it's been capped at 30x.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think ASIC are trying to reduce the amount of people getting wrecked, basically. Yeah, by just extremely risky leverage trading.
Yep. Oh, well, I guess
Yeah.
that's a good thing, right? Like, you know, you don't want to see anyone getting wrecked from massive
Yeah.
leverage trades. Not a
Yeah,
good.
but on the same topic though, I don't necessarily agree with like a blanket rule. You know, there must be some sort of way to verify that this person knows what they're doing, and then they can unlock higher leverage. But then, you know, that has a potential to be abused by vendors who offer this sort of service, because then, you know, how do you regulate that? Like what can you do? Like what can ASIC do to say, yeah, you need to verify that this is a, you know, experienced trader and they understand what the risks are.
Yeah.
But, you know, I understand where ASIC are coming from, but at the same time, yeah, it's a bit confusing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Has ASIC been obviously the main governing body that you sort of dealt with in terms of, you know, onboarding CryptoSpend and that sort of thing?
No, mainly Austrac.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how have they been to deal with?
Yeah, they've been fine. Yeah, there hasn't been much. They have specific regulation on crypto.
Yep.
So as part of a digital currency exchange, which is what we're classified as, you have to have proper procedures, including an anti-money laundering and counterterrorism financing procedure. And that's something that we've had to do. And Austrac have been, yeah, I've had no issues with them.
That's good.
Yeah, we've had issues. Yeah, touch
Was
wood.
was the regulation from Austrac around when you first started CryptoSpend, or was it relatively new?
Relatively new, yeah, when we had first started, because it was just sort of maturing a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, obviously
I think
there's.
those changes came, sorry?
No, you go.
I think those changes came around in late 2017.
Yep.
I could be wrong, where they did an amendment to the AML CTF Act. But yeah, in all, they're fine to deal with.
Yep. Andrew, do you have any final sort of closing thoughts on either, you know, CryptoSpend itself or the entire crypto space in general?
Yeah, I just think it's going to get big. Wait until some of these issues have become ironed out, and then crypto will truly become mainstream. Then
We haven't really.
crypto and blockchain in general.
Yeah. You don't think we've seen that? Obviously, at the moment, we're just at the tip of the iceberg, I suppose.
Yeah, that's right. That's where we are currently.
Yeah, awesome. Look, Andrew, thanks so much for jumping on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
No dramas at all. Take care.
Take care.